My name is Madison Barra, and welcome to my podcast, where it's all about teaching you how to lose weight, keep it off, and actually enjoy the process. I've lost over 70 pounds, and these are the failures and lessons I've learned along the way. Hope you enjoy and subscribe. So today, I would like to talk about a somewhat touchy subject. This is something that I run into very often coaching thousands of women over the years. And I think it's something that is very obvious, but we always overlook it or we think we're immune to it ourselves. And so my hopes is that I bring this to your attention, I bring it to my attention, and we can just pay a little bit more close attention to it and see how it has been woven into our lives or pulled out of our lives or is maybe getting in our way right now. And that thing is correction. So we tend to be really good at giving correction, right? We know what that person did wrong. We know what that person can do better. We didn't like what that person did. But sometimes, depending on when you catch us, we're not very good at receiving correction or feedback. And so I want to ask you, are you perfect? Are you absent of flaws? Do you never make a mistake? And of course, the answer is yes, I make mistakes. Yes, I'm full of flaws and I'm perfectly imperfect. And so if that's the case, which that applies for everybody, I don't think anybody escapes that rule. If that is the case, then that means that you still have something to learn. You still have some ways to grow and improve, right? If we've got flaws, we can work on them. If we keep making mistakes, we can learn. If you're imperfect, let's try to figure out how to work on those issues, right? So whoever you are listening to me talk right now, you have flaws and imperfections that you still need to work on, just like myself. And how do we work on these things? Well, it's through correction, it's through feedback, it's through criticism. If you are not corrected either by yourself or an external source, then you will never grow. If you are not told or you do not figure out that this is not the right way or there is a better way, or hey, have you noticed that you've been doing this? Do you notice that you act like this or think like this? Without correction, you will never know these things, and then you will be doomed to repeat the same cycle in life, the same pattern again and again and again. So if you feel like you are in a rut, if you feel like you have not been able to pull yourself out, if you feel like you're repeating the same bad habits, you're losing the same 5, 10, 20 pounds, if you are just stuck in this cycle and you can't figure out why, it is because there's a lack of correction happening. Okay, and the correction usually, as we become more self-aware, we can correct ourselves, but sometimes we are incapable because we've been doing the thing for so long, we don't even question it. We don't even know that that's the root cause. We wouldn't even think that that was the root cause. So external corrections is super important. And I just heard a quote the other day, and I thought it was really, really good because I feel like this applies to me too, and with the areas where I struggle sometimes. And the quote was, control kills correction. Control kills correction. So let's break that down together because I'm sure this applies to somebody listening. So if you take athletes, you take actresses, you take, high level people who are super successful, very well known in society. They all hire coaches, right? LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, they have coaches. Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, they have coaches, actor coaches, right? And so they are hiring these people. They gave them their hard-earned money to give them correction. They're asking them, please tell me, what are you noticing and how can I improve? What am I doing that's keeping me stuck? Have you thought of anything that could help me that I haven't thought of yet? They are literally paying people to correct them, right? If you've ever hired a coach before when it came to weight loss or fitness, you are paying somebody to be there along your journey and correct you when you need it, because we just determined that we are not perfect. And if you've ever tried to lose weight before, you know that journey looks anything but perfect. It's sloppy, it's messy, it's frustrating, it's overwhelming, it's beautiful, but you definitely need some correction. Otherwise, you always end your journey in the same way, falling off, feeling guilty, and then going back to old habits, which is, if you're listening to me speak right now, that's unacceptable. You know that that's not where you want to stay anymore. So if you are always trying to be in control or be perceived as perfect or be perceived as alpha, or be perceived as all-knowing, or be perceived as professional or mature and always in control, then you will not grow, because growth in and of itself tells you that there is a lack of something. And so inherently, you do not have control in that area, in that thing, in that one knowledge. And so if you are somebody that's always trying to be perfect, waiting for the right time, waiting for the right moment, it's not going to happen, because there's no such thing as the right time, the right moment. In fact, there's no such thing as the right pretty much anything, because you can choose to make anything right if you believe that it is. And so it is by trying to always control things, you're really regimented with what you say and how you think, so much so that it is strict and you're hyper focused on it, then it's killing your ability to be corrected, to correct yourself by letting those walls down in your mind and seeing where we can potentially, move and flow and mold ourselves and change ourselves, be fluid with our identity. Or are we just so rigid, correction comes and it bounces off of our head, in one ear, out the other? How will you get to the next level? How will you lose weight if you stay who you are right now? Because who you are right now has brought you to this point. So who you are right now will keep you at this point. So there needs to be a change to get you to a new point, to a point you've never seen before. Even if you've lost weight in the past, you've never been who you are right now in this moment and lost weight. Because today you woke up and you were a new person at a new age, at a new spot in life, new phase. So that you are a brand new person today. And if you keep behaving like who you were yesterday, tomorrow you will be the same person. And I know that that's not something that you want. You want to be the best version of you possible. And guess what? The second you reach that, you will have already thought of a newer version of you. So it's an ongoing game. So how can we ever be 100% controlling? It just doesn't work. And you are really missing out on your ability to be corrected in the best way, because correction done out of love is, I think, one of the most purest forms of love. When you truly want to see somebody succeed and excel and get out of their own way, that is beautiful love. Instead of letting somebody, drown, or you go deal with that. That's not love. So if you have someone in your life that's correcting you and it's done out of love, but maybe not in the best way, maybe it's nagging, right? Maybe it's yelling, maybe it always leads to an argument. I want you to just step back and say, is this done out of love? And is there any merit to what they're saying on any level that I can take away from this and learn to grow? Because if you shut out correction, any correction coming from a place of love, even if it didn't come across well, you are missing an opportunity to grow. You are missing an opportunity to grow. And if you are not growing, you are dying, because staying the same is terrifying. It is where the comfort is where the contentment is where you get bitter and you get resentful and you get numb. It's when you start to disconnect from your goal. Do you start joking about your goal? Do you start believing your goal isn't possible? Do you start believing maybe this isn't going to happen for me? Maybe this is just as good as it's going to get? It's because you've been comfortable and you've been in the same spot for too long, probably despite trying too. So welcome correction. Welcome it from those who are having a loving intention, and then be humble when you receive it. You do not need to show what you think of the correction. You do not need to share what you think of the correction, whether you think it's right, wrong, or both. You just be humble and you take it and you sit with it. And then once you get used to accepting correction, you're sending a signal to the universe that I'm ready to receive instead of ready to take, right? I'm ready to just be open to things. Instead of taking things, I'm open to new things. It's a very different mindset shift, and it doesn't seem like a lot, and you might not feel the difference quantifiably immediately, but what the universe can sense is that, okay, your perspective is shifting and you are ready to learn. You are ready to potentially grow and improve and to elevate and level up. You said you're ready, because now, every time you get corrected, you're not putting your defenses up. You're not pointing what everybody else is doing wrong too. You're able to sit with yourself and just absorb. And I think that is one of the key things that is missing for a lot of women in their weight loss journey. There's a lot of heightened emotions in this journey, and a lot of the times the emotions lead us. And that's a good thing. When we've got good emotions and we're motivated, it leads us to act. But when our emotions switch to the ones we consider negative, then we let those decide our actions. So then we decide to stop. Then we decide to eat the thing that we know we shouldn't. Then we decide to skip the workout we know we shouldn't. Then we decide to be extra moody or reactive or explosive to our spouse when really we're just upset with ourselves. And so it's so important that we learn this trait and we welcome this. I mean, as a coach, that's, what I do the most of. I'm just a really good listener, and I can give you the right correction that you need to hear. Not that I want you to hear, not in the direction that I'd want you to go. What do I think you need to hear in order to break through? Because in order to break through, you need to break down. You cannot have a breakdown in life without actually sitting down and breaking things down. Correction is breaking things down. Correction is nitpicking, tweaking, listening, learning. So important. And it goes hand in hand with being humble, right? Now, a lot of people, if I were to ask them, they'd say they were humble. I'm not cocky, I'm not arrogant. They're being humble. But I want to challenge you on the definition of humility. I don't think humility is thinking less of yourself, right? It's not, calm yourself, drop your ego a little bit. You're getting pretty overconfident over there. I don't think that's what lack of humility is. I think humility is not lack of self. I think it's being able to think more of others. So it's not thinking less of yourself. Being humble is thinking more of others, right? Because what's the state we usually get into? We don't like to listen to people because we don't think they're good enough, or they're worthy, or their advice is worth anything, or they're not as smart as us, or they don't know what they're talking about in this area. We've all thought those things. It's okay. But if that's true, then we build this bubble. And again, we think we're in control. We think we've got the power. We think we're hot shit to some level, not where we're super arrogant and think we're better than everybody else, but to some degree, we think we're better than everybody else in, X area, Y area, Z area, and so on. And if we think we're kind of above people in some area, how can we receive correction? And it's so funny because I deal with this trait, somebody's ability to receive correction. I deal with it pretty much every day. I jump on these calls with, current clients or potential clients. And when I talk to my current clients and I offer them my source of correction to kind of, if they're off track, I correct them to get them back on track. That's kind of how it works, right? The correction is what, back on track. So I talk to my current clients. I tell them things that make sense. I tell them things that don't make sense. I tell them things that they want to hear. I tell them things that they don't want to hear, depending on what the situation needs. And it's beautiful because these women have come to me and they were ready to receive correction. And so I can give them the most amazing correction that they need. And it absolutely shifts everything the second that they get it, because they're like, oh, I get it. It doesn't mean, Coach Maddie's better than me. It doesn't mean Coach Maddie thinks less of me because she needs to correct me. And it doesn't mean that I suck because I'm doing something wrong. Okay, if just because you fail on your diet doesn't mean you suck, doesn't mean you're worthless, doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means you're lacking correction in the right direction. And that's either because you haven't been seeking it or you haven't been open to it. Most of the time, we're looking for it. We don't find the right places, but at least you're looking. But most of the time, it's because we're not open to it. We don't think that we need that level of help. And let me tell you, everybody needs that much help. Coaches need coaches. And so I talk to these women that are current clients, and, I say things that are uncomfortable and they don't want to hear. But, in the moment, they're like, you know what? I really don't like that. But damn it, I knew I needed to hear it. Sometimes they laugh, sometimes they cry, sometimes they get angry. But despite those emotions, they're still able to focus on the one of, oh, I know correction is important for growth, so I'm going to listen anyway, despite how I feel about it. And that's beautiful. And those are the ladies that progress the fastest and the longest. It's beautiful to see. And then I get on with women who are potential clients, and I always test them, because I do not accept everybody into our Fit Queen community, because I want to keep it sacred. I want to keep it growing. I want to keep the women in there protected in their minds. So I can't just, accept anybody into the community. So when I jump on calls with potential clients, I'm trying to see, where are they in their ability to be corrected? Are they open to it? Right. And by the way, on a side note, people who give correction, right, professionally, like I do, I'm very good at taking correction myself as well. And it has to be that way. Otherwise, I'd be a hypocrite. If I could give correction and I couldn't take it, you would know it. You would feel it, and you wouldn't be able to listen to me. You'd probably get more defensive because of it. So on a side note, be careful who you're looking at correction from. Either way, sit, take it, listen, be wise, be open, but just be careful with who you're getting it from, right? Because you want to make sure it's from love, not from hypocrisy or looking down on you. So that was a little side note. But these potential clients that I speak to, I pre-frame at the beginning of every call, and I'm like, you know what, like weight loss and health can be a really emotional, really touchy subject. And so if there are tears or really intense emotions today as we talk, I encourage you, please let them out. Please let them flow. I promise it's a judgment-free zone. In fact, when I see your tears, when I see you get emotional, it actually lets me know that you take this very serious, which is what I'm looking for. I want to know that this is important to you, not just something, yeah, you know what, I should probably do this. No, it's like, I need to do this. And that's what I'm looking for. So when I go through these conversations, and, I've had hundreds and thousands of these conversations, and I wait for women to open up. I'm trying to probe, and I'm asking questions to see where they go. And I ran into this one woman, and she jumped onto this call, and she seemed very stoic. So she's very straight-faced. She didn't want to give anything to me, which is fair. We were still strangers. That's fair. But I wanted to chip away and see if I can, get over that wall in any way. And so we're going, and I found out, what, her husband died a couple years ago. She's kind of been a hermit ever since. She stays inside. She says she's not like super happy, but she's also saying, weight loss isn't super important, but she knows, hey, it could help. So right away, what I get from that is, okay, so your husband has passed away and you've been staying home. So what's probably happening is, you're kind of floating through life. You're not enjoying life. You're not making new adventures, new memories. You're not going out and spending time with other people, with friends. You're not potentially, if you wanted to meet a partner one day, how would you ever do that if you're staying home? You're probably afraid of what other people are going to think of you when you leave the house because of the way that you look, so you don't like getting dressed, or you're wearing too flowy, baggy clothing. So that's where my mind is going, right? When she hasn't maybe searched that deep yet, that's where I'm going. And so I'm trying to ask her questions to see if I can get her to tell me that. And as I go through it, I'm like, do you feel lonely? Are you lonely? And she's like, yeah, I'm lonely. And I could see in her eyes for a second the tears building. And I said, well, I need you to let me know, why is this so important for you? This only works with women who are completely fed up, and this is kind of like a do or die situation. So can you tell me why this is so important to you? And, she sat there in silence. And then all of a sudden she burst out and she said, I can't do this. And she shut her laptop and she hung up on me. Crazy, right? And I was sitting there, I was like, uh-oh, I hit a sore spot. And, I wasn't mad. I wasn't frustrated. I just felt sad because she was struggling so much. She was so lonely. And she didn't realize how much loneliness and unhappiness was tied to her weight, to her health, to her physical appearance. It really does make a difference. When you lose weight, you feel more confident. You walk into a room different. You attract different people. You go out and do more exciting things. You're a good influence to your family. You are just a better person to be around, calmer, less reactive, more positive energy to give out. You're contagious, right? If you find that you're lonely, or you're isolated, or you don't like going out as much, it's probably because you don't like yourself and you don't think other people would enjoy spending time with you. And it's largely linked to your weight. If you lost weight, you'd feel better. If you felt better, you'd act better. If you acted better, life would be better, right? It's pretty much that simple. Now, of course, it's nuanced, but my point of telling that story was, if you can't take correction, you're going to be staying in the same spot, and you're going to be very unhappy, and you might not even know it. You might have bursts of a meltdown or a breakdown every now and then when that's gone, you might think life's okay and I can handle it. But in the back of your mind, if you really thought about it, you're not okay. How you're living is not okay. You know that you can do more, be more, achieve more. And the fact that you're not is eating away at you. It eats away at me. I can't accept that I'm not waking up every day, at least trying to be better. Not always looking like I'm better, because it's not a straight line, but at least trying. And so in this situation, this woman, she was so uncomfortable making that connection and so uncomfortable hearing it, that now she's missed the opportunity to learn and grow and change her circumstance. And that's okay, because everybody's journey is different and everybody is ready at a different time. And so, I reached out and I sent her a nice email and I said, this is unfortunately, people get really touchy about weight loss. I totally understand it. I didn't mean to offend you, but I know that you want this, and I'm here when and if you're ready. And that's what I will say to you. If the thought of losing weight isn't burning yet. You're not on fire about it. You're not super passionate about it. It's not do or die. You're not running out of options. Then you're not ready yet. And that's okay. Keep trying. One day you will be ready, and that will be the perfect time for you. But I'm telling you, if you do not know how to accept correction, feedback, criticism from a place of love from somebody, regardless of how it comes across, then you will be stuck. And that is not my wish for you. And I know that's not what you want. And so I want you to ask yourself, I want to finish this call, I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time somebody tried to give me correction nicely in a way that I was able to receive it? Ask yourself, think about it. When was the last time somebody offered me feedback in a way that was helpful, right? They came to you, they sat you down, they shared their opinion in a nice, calm way, and then it was a discussion, right? How awesome was that? Or did you struggle to listen and hear what they were saying? And then when was the last time that somebody offered you feedback in a not nice way, in a criticism where they said you did this wrong, or in a nitpicking way or a nagging way? And how did you receive that? Probably not too well. And again, you probably didn't listen and you weren't open. So I want you to just view correction overall as a blessing, because there is no other way that you will ever learn, ever grow, and ever lose weight if you do not constantly correct yourself, because that's what it is. Your actions right now are producing the you that you are. You don't like the you that you are, so you need new actions to produce a new you. How do we make these new actions? How do we know what the right actions are to make? How do we make ourselves do these actions when we're not motivated? It is through correction. And most of the time we are not welcoming enough of that into our lives because we are afraid of what people are saying. We are afraid of getting judged. We are afraid of being perceived as less than or not in control. And so we shut out the possibility of all correction altogether. And when really it's just as simple as turning on the switch in your brain and saying, okay, I will welcome it. I don't have to like it, but I have to welcome it. And if it is from somebody who loves me and it is from a loving place, I will listen, myself included. If it's from myself, I will listen. I will listen, and I will try to hear past the emotion, past the bullshit, and listen to the words. And then maybe I will find a nugget in there. Maybe I will find a jewel in there. Maybe I will find my missing puzzle piece in that correction. You only need that one thing to find, and it makes all the pain and discomfort of getting corrected worth it. And so live in that discomfort. Be humble, okay? Don't think less of yourself, think more of others. That will attract a new type of energy in your life. And I guarantee you, if you make this a priority, if you really sit and listen to the words that I said today, you will change. Real change will happen. Real change. Big leaps and bounds, right? Because if a goal is impossible, if you feel like a goal is impossible, doesn't that mean that it's probably worth pursuing? If you think it's so outlandish and outrageous that it's almost impossible in your mind, isn't that the most exciting goal of all? Isn't that what makes it worthy of pursuing? Because if success was guaranteed, it wouldn't be sought after. If success was certain, there's no such thing as courage or strength, because we're always just going to be successful no matter what. But it takes true courage, true strength, true humility to make it to the next phase in your weight loss. So where have you been trying to strengthen those skills? Where have you had the opportunity to show those skills? And or have you been shying away from strengthening those skills?
If you found this podcast valuable, I hope you leave us a 5-star review. And if you want to learn more about the Fit Queen way of weight loss, visit www.fitqueen.com. Thank you for listening, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode.